it's Dr. Toya here, and welcome to the By Default Highlight Reel, where we highlight our business owners by bringing you videos and interviews so that they can tell their stories in their own words. Please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more episodes. I hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Toya here, and I am joined by Dr. Joy, the co-founder and CEO of Culture Care. Welcome, Dr. Joy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. This is our special episode of the By Default Highlight Reel, where we have some of our physicians come on and, we do like a physician spotlight. So I'm very excited because me and Dr. Joy go way back.
Way back.
So before we get into Culture Care, tell our viewers a little bit more about you, where you're from, where did you train, all that.
My name is Joy Cooper. As you said, I am a Philly native. I'm a Philly girl through and through. I'm a Philly John. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. And you want to know education, like all that stuff? Or
yes, because it's so impressive. That's why.
Oh my goodness.
Tell us all.
No, I went to undergrad at Harvard. I got my master's in STIs and HIV at University of College of London, from the School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And then I came back across the pond and went to Howard for medical school, which is where I met Dr. Toya, and trained at University of Pennsylvania, Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania in West Philly for residency, and then ended up in California.
Yes. So why wouldn't you want to say all that? So impressive.
It's just a mouthful.
That's fine.
It's a lot of history. It's like almost 20 years of history. Lord God.
That's fine. Let them know that you're qualified. Yes.
You're right.
So tell us what exactly Culture Care is all about.
Culture Care is a telemedicine startup that is designed to link Black women with Black physicians, as well as other Black providers. Our goal is to try and mitigate the health disparities that often beset Black women. If you look at pretty much any statistic, Black women are disproportionately affected. And if it's something that affects, us less, we still have like a higher mortality rate or complication rate. So the goal is to try and get Black women the care that they deserve, to try and make sure they have the outcomes that we all need, which is to survive and to thrive.
Right. And it's so important. And one thing, I didn't mention, or you didn't mention, is that you're an OBGYN just like me.
Yes, I did not. I was like, I did training because I'm like, we all OBGYNs on this call, but yes, I'm an OBGYN.
Yes. So why did you want to create Culture Care? Obviously because of the statistics, but what exactly was your drive?
I think so. My former employer, which I will not name, I actually did a lot of telemedicine with them, and I actually was not paid for it. So it's almost like, donated time. Yeah. But I built a lot of great relationships with my patients through telemedicine. And I realized, I was like, wait, there's actually a way to affect change without actually being in the same room as a patient. And, a lot of the stuff that I need as an OBGYN is not necessarily to actually put my hands on you. I really need an ultrasound report for most of it. So if you can give me an ultrasound report, I can give you a lot of ways to interpret that information. That's what got me interested. In addition to the fact that my co-founder, Dr. Monique Smith, was actually my patient, my OBGYN patient, when she was pregnant. And, she felt like, she was able to text me. She had access to me in ways that most people don't have with their physician. And it was like, how can we, kind of give other people who don't have Black doctors in their network, a Black doctor in their back pocket that they can talk to. And so that's why we devised and cultivated Culture Care.
Yeah, it's the shared privilege, right?
Exactly.
I speak about this all the time. I'm privileged to have physicians on speed dial, basically, that I can ask any question. So I love that. And that's exactly why I have doctors on the directory. For that very reason. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, if somebody is interested, what exactly can they get from Culture Care?
So I would say there's a myriad of things. So I would say at baseline, we have it, our, basic product is this, that if you want to talk to a doctor and bounce ideas off of them, you can pay $50 for 20 minutes. You can pay $100 if you want 40 minutes. And you can pay $150 if you want a whole hour to kind of just run down all the things you have questions about. Typically what happens from these calls is, if you do need to speak, if you want someone that you can see in person, we can link you with someone. We are currently only in California, but really it's been a resource for patients who are pregnant, not pregnant, people who need therapy. We do have a Black therapist, people who need Black lactation support. We have them as well on our team. And so it's really a way to, kind of just I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will just, That's literally what they'll talk to someone and it's like, okay, what's on your mind? And really that's our goal, is that, unlike, most places when you ask you have to fill out all this paperwork. Our goal is just that you can just tell us, like in a tweet, what are your issues? Because it's really open-ended. It's usually not something you can just check a whole bunch of boxes. That's not going to get to it. And so really that's what it is. It's just like, you get time with us, and that's really what you're paying for.
Yeah. And the time it's so valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah, because mostly, and this, when we see patients in clinic, most of the times they just want to talk, right? And that's
and you won't get 20 minutes.
Right. You get 20 minutes? Lucky.
No, you won't. But I'm telling you that it's impossible to, I put myself behind in my clinic to get patients more than 20 minutes sometimes. But technically the way it's designed is that, technically I think, I know where you work, it's like every 15 minutes that you have an appointment. And some of that time is like getting your vitals and all that stuff. Yeah. That's not like, 15 minutes actually chatting. So that's why we really did it based on time, that you're paying for time as opposed to just like a visit. Because we want to make sure that you get, if you feel like you have more to say. And sometimes we'll book an hour because it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about the COVID vaccine. I'm going to talk about getting pregnant. I'm going to talk about all these different things. And, usually when you go to the doctor, it's like, okay, you got 2 things you could tell me about, and maybe 1 thing I can solve, because that's what they're paying me to do. But in culture care, it's really patient-centered, and so we want you to really get out of it what you need.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And you mentioned some of your team. Tell us, everybody who's available, what else? Lactation, what else?
So we have a Black pediatrician, we have a Black OBGYN, who's me currently, but we're actually expanding to 2 others, as well as an emergency medicine physician. So if you have urgent care needs, we have a Black ED doctor, and we're currently onboarding a Black family medicine physician, so a general practitioner. So in addition to, I already said, the lactation specialist and the therapist, because our goal is, a lot of what we do is maternal child health based. So we are rolling out bundles where, if you are pregnant and you kind of want a backup team, you can have kind of like a whole collection of people taking care of you in your 3rd trimester as you transition to postpartum. Nice. As well as, but we know people also, it's not just, people who are childbearing age or people who are focused on pregnancy who need care. You do need help with your blood pressure medications. Or one story, my grandmother, she was on with the same doctor for years and years and years, all throughout medical school, part of residency. And her blood pressures were horrible, like really out of control. And I kept being like, this is not right. Like, you need to see someone else. And she refused. But she ended up coming to my hospital when I was in residency because she had an emergency. She got admitted, and they essentially had adopted her and like redid all of her care. And like, honestly, it's been like night and day. She's on medications that work. She's no longer having blood pressures that are 200s over 100s. And so the goal is really just to give people access to having other opinions about what's going on. Because, I do give some empathy, because as a doctor, it's hard having a whole lot of patients you have to cover. And, if you don't have the support to do that. However, having patients who are always having elevated blood pressures that are in stroke range is just not, that's, she lost her eyesight in her left eye because, I feel like she was not, given the proper management for years and years and years, and your body can only take for so much. So that's why, of course, we have maternal child health, but we also do have, just general practitioners and urgent care doctors who can also help with other needs.
Wow, that's great. So it sounds like you're expanding exponentially. That's good.
I wouldn't say exponentially, but I mean, for me, a lot of what we do with culture care is like, it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build, they will come. We're just trying to assemble a squad so that, when people are ready, like, that there's access, essentially that's, what a lot of other healthcare systems do, is have a whole bunch of doctors. And the difference is that I think, whereas with culture care, I feel like we have more doctors than we probably have actual patients, because, for us, it's not like we have a roster where only these patients can see us, because then that kind of mitigates what we're doing. We're trying to, build access. So the thing is, it's like, we're here when you need us, come to us, let your girlfriends know, let your friends know. And honestly, a lot of our appointments aren't problem-based in terms of like, I have this acute thing going on. A lot of it's just like, I need to talk about counseling. When should I get pregnant? Or, or I have an appointment with this person. Can you help me understand? Because really for us, we're trying to be advocates for you, and give you your voice and give you the tools and the jargon that you need to get the best out of your healthcare.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too, is being educated before you go back to your doctor, right? Exactly. Because of course we want you to be able to see somebody physically and all that. But if you don't even know where to start, you don't know what's going on, you're not really going to know what questions to ask.
Exactly.
So you're more empowered. So that's absolutely amazing that you are providing that for people. Yeah. And at a steal, guys, that is a steal. Yeah. So I want to know more about, you as a doctor. Why did you go into OBGYN?
So it's interesting. I always tell people, I think, especially along all of the interview trails I've done, is that I never said I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an OBGYN. I was 16 years old and was at a high school in inner city Philly. And it was a magnet school, but we still had a lot of teenage pregnancy, a lot of friends who had questions about STDs and all these different things. And I was just like, it's a shame that you guys don't have someone you could talk to about this, who you feel comfortable with. And so I was like, look, back when I was younger, I used to say I want to be an urban adolescent OBGYN. Like I wanted to work primarily with teens in an urban area. So I kind of like, I do, my job does shunt all of the adolescents to me, but obviously I take care of women and people with, reproductive organs of all age ranges. But I will say, I think OBGYN for me it's very intimate. And that's what I appreciate about it, is that everybody's business. And so it's what you have to, make space to make people feel comfortable to tell you all their business. Because when they tell you all their business, then you can really help them. But when people, and that's what I feel like, that's another reason why I feel like culture care exists, is because how many times as a Black person, you feel like the code switch when you talk to someone who's not of your culture. And so the goal is that we can kind of like peel back these layers and say like, look, just tell me like it is. Tell me in your own words. Not telling me in a way where you feel like I can feel like you deserve dignity, or you deserve, you don't have to put on airs with us. And so, because that's really, I feel like what happens to a lot of us, even us as, clinicians, talking to other, peers, it's like, do I tell them like, look, she just needs this? Or do I say, well, actually, I was looking at her creatinine and then I noticed, like, it's kind of like trying to figure out how do you insert yourself into the system. So I love as an OBGYN that I'm allowed to give patients space to tell me how they feel. And, honestly, there are a lot of tears. Sometimes I had a patient cry with me yesterday just because she's like, oh my gosh, like no one ever like asked me, do I want to get pregnant? And it's just like, just because you have, HIV positive status, does that mean that, fertility shouldn't be discussed with you? And so there's a lot of things that we do with, bias in the health community that really, it's stifling to our patients, and we don't know it because we don't put ourselves in their shoes. And so for me, I love being an OBGYN just because there's so much, these are important parts of your life that, also just don't last forever. You can't do all the things in our specialty forever. You can with donor eggs and things like that per se, but it's surrogates, there are ways to extend it, but it's not necessarily going to be in your body.
And
or in your DNA.
It's also out of most people's price ranges as well, because those things are not cheap. So
At all.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that something you said that always kind of bothers me when patients tell me nobody ever, and I'm just like, nobody? Like, this is not high level care. I mean, I gave great care, don't get me wrong.
No, but it's not high level. It's not like it's like, if it's a complex thing, yes. But if it's like a simple thing, like, okay, you've got PCOS, which is very easy and basic to like, diagnose, like polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's very basic. The criteria is 3 things. You just need 2 out of 3. Like, the fact that people, and that's one thing I saw a lot at my previous employer, where I was like, wow, like you had all these people come, see you and nobody could tell you what it is. Cringe.
That's perfect word for it.
No, I cringe all the time. And I'm just looking like, I'm not trying to, dime you out on your doctor, but your doctor was trash.
That's hilarious. All right. So, I want to ask as well, if you can share, what is like your favorite thing about being either a doctor or an OBGYN?
That's a good question. I honestly like the flexibility. I think with becoming a mom and realizing that I don't necessarily have to work certain hours, and that I can make my life more flexible so that I can be present, as a mom. I realize like I'm privileged that I don't have to work a 9 to 5. And not in the sense that, I feel like a lot of people on Instagram and social media and are like, villainizing that 9 to 5. I feel like there's nothing wrong with paying your bills with a 9 to 5. I know for me, the reason why I left my previous employer is because a lot of it was clinic work, and I don't really like clinic work. I don't like working 9 to 5. I actually like working night shift. I'm like, a graveyard shift type girl. So, and to me, I like it because I'm like, my daughter's asleep. I'm not missing anything. She's knocked out, So for me, I realized like the flexibility with being not only physician, but also OBGYN. Because OBGYNs, we wear so many hats. Like you can do clinic, you can do surgery, you can do labor and delivery shifts, like hospitalist shifts. So I feel like there's just so many different ways to get in where you fit in. And honestly, I received the best word, and I've been trying to lean into this flexibility. But one of my daughter's godmom told me, she was like, you need to stop looking at, being a doctor as, all of these like, small one-on-one visits, and know that you can do more with culture care. And that's why you should focus more on culture care than like your day-to-day job, which is, why I'm kind of transitioning more towards culture care and doing less of like I'm not going to be like an employee at a hospital anymore. And it was, it kind of was like, I was glad she said it because I needed to hear it. Because, sometimes, for me, I give so much weight to the one-on-one encounters because I know it's like, oh, wow, that's great. But how many one-on-one encounters can I do with culture care and not have to leave my house and still be able to affect and impact change? And how else can I like recruit more physicians to do the same? Whereas in my job, I'm like literally just delivering care. I'm just like literally like a soldier. And I realized, like, for me, culture care is a way for me to build an army and really basically like, deploy, because we need to deploy care. Because I feel like it's not, it's not, it literally, I see so many people get obstructed with getting care where I work. And it's just like, how can we get it to you? Like, how can we deploy you to like where you need to be? So.
Oh, I love hearing you talk about your business. It's great.
Oh,
I love it. All right. So the last question I have for you is, what does it mean to you to be a Black doctor, Black OBGYN?
Honestly, I feel like as a Black OBGYN, I think when the ProRepublica article came out a few years ago now, about Shalyn Irving, who was a Black epidemiologist at the CDC who actually died 3 weeks after giving birth, they cited a statistic that I did not know. 10% of all OBGYNs are Black and female. And I'm like, whoa,
I did not know that either.
Quad deep. That's very rare in a specialty. Only 3 to 5% of physicians are Black. So for 10% to be Black, of our specialty, that's a lot of power. And so for me, that's why I do culture care, because I feel like we can save each other, we can save ourselves, and I'm not going to say that no Black OBGYN has ever had a poor outcome or something like that, but I would say 9 times out of 10, and maybe 9.9 times out of 10, like, we take care of our people. And I feel like we're always booked and busy because I feel like a lot of us overextend ourselves to our patients. And it doesn't matter if you're, Black, Puerto Rican, or Asian, or Haitian, as the lyric says. But, really, I think we're just good at doing that. Because I remember at my last job, which was, because I was a Black woman, I took care of a lot of patients who looked like me, because it was like, ooh, I could sign up for a Black doctor, sign me up. And so they, were like just so happy to like, have access to me. And, again, like, I'm like you, I'll pat myself on the back. I'm a good doctor. I do go above and beyond. And so the difference was that other patients caught on to that. And they're like, oh, I want you because, you do it. And it's just like, you don't need me for your first world problems. And that's really why I left my last place. I was like, I can't do first world problems as an OBGYN. There's too many real problems, like life or death issues for me to be, really like, doing, the cutesy stuff. I'm not a concierge doctor. I'm really trying to like solve problems. I'm like, as I say on my LinkedIn page, I'm the Olivia Pope of OBGYN. Like, I'm a fixer. So for me, like the little easy minutia, I was not interested in it. And so for me, it's really about being a part of like a squad, like when I think about the Black women OBGYNs that trained me, that delivered my baby, that I went to medical school with, became friends with after medical school, after we finished training from Howard, especially because I'm still in touch with a lot of like the OBGYNs from Howard, those of us who kind of were cultivated at the same time. I just realized like I'm a part of like an amazing legacy. When I think about the Black women who have come before me that are OBGYNs, like my mom's godmother, who is an 86-year-old Black woman in Brooklyn, who is retired now, but will still like spar with me when it comes to like, medical facts, like, like just like she did when I was pre-med, when I think about people like Olivia Dickens, who was one of the first Black board certified OBGYNs in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia specifically, who opened up a teen clinic in West Philadelphia. It's just a legacy that I'm just happy to be a part of, and I think I probably wouldn't be here if my mom's godmother wasn't an OBGYN, because I spent the summer when I was 16 in Brooklyn, and I got impacted. And that was the same time I decided I wanted to be an OBGYN. So for me, a lot of it is legacy, and it's not even, doesn't have to be like familial in terms of DNA. But just in terms of lineage, like
Yeah.
Dr. Mildred Clark, I'm talking about, my mom's godmom, she went to Howard for medical school. And, when she cloaked me when I was about to graduate, that meant the world. That meant
Yeah.
everything. That meant that from 1965 to 2013, there had been a shift. There's more of us there, I don't have to train with, mostly Jewish men like
Right.
she did. I was able to be trained by mostly women, by women of all different, hues, races, colors, ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds. And I think that's, just what really excites me about being me.
Oh, I feel like there's nothing else to say. We're done. All right, well, one thing I will say is tell all viewers where they can find you.
Okay, so you can find Culture Care at on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of the above. Did I miss my Facebook? If people still use that,
Hey, I use Facebook.
I use it very I'm a millennial, I'm more Instagram, but I feel like the older people have taken over Facebook. But it's OUR Culture Care, so Our Culture Care. I just want to be inclusive, and that is at for all of the Twitters and Instagrams, and then ourculturecare.com is where you can find us on website. If you're in the state of California, it's very easy just to connect with one of the doctors who are there. If you don't see time that you're available, feel free to email our concierge at ourculturecare.com and we will hook you up.
Right. And you know where else you can find her? On bydefault.com.
Yeah.
Yes, Our Culture Care is listed, and it's all part of what you mentioned, extending the access and the privilege that we have to everyone else, because we, like you said, we need to fix this. So thank you for what you're doing. It is so important, and thank you for coming on.
And thank you for your platform and spreading the word. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that's it, everyone. I'll see you next time on the next episode of the By Default Highlight Reel.